All right. Sorry about that. Let's see. Do we have sound now? Can anyone give me a sound check? I just like did this big monologue and no one could hear it. I forgot to turn my other camera on, which actually has my sound, so that was not good. But do we have sound now? Yes? Yeah? Okay, I'm sorry. I did a big long monologue, so unless you could read lips, you could not hear any of that. So sorry about that. Let me repeat what I just said. And if you are joining me from YouTube later on, please feel free to fast forward through this section. I'm sorry about the no sound thing. It's been 2 weeks since I've done a Facebook Live, and I forgot to turn my secondary camera on, and I have better sound on that camera. So anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit about my week and what has been going on. We dropped off our son at college last week, and it was a bit of an epic journey. Last Tuesday, instead of doing a Facebook Live, we hit the road early and we drove all the way to Niagara Falls in Canada, and we got to, my husband got us this fabulous hotel room. It was a journey that just my son and I drove up together, and my husband got us a hotel room at the Hilton, and we had a room that overlooked both American Falls and the Canadian Falls. It was fabulous. At night they had fireworks, so we could watch the fireworks from our hotel room, which was great. The next day we got on the road and we got some Timbits, and if you don't know what Timbits are, then you're probably not from Canada, but they're from a place called Tim Hortons, which is a donut franchise in Canada, and it is quite prolific in Canada. So if you ever go over there, you will see Tim Hortons almost everywhere. So we got some Timbits for the road, and we drove up to Waterloo, and our son is technically he's an international student, even though he was born in Canada, so we had a whole lot of paperwork and stuff to do. And also it was his birthday while we were up there, and his grandparents live about an hour and a half away, so they came by and we had a birthday lunch with them. We had a birthday breakfast with him a couple of days later. There was just a lot going on. I was so exhausted by the end of it all, but it was really good. And yeah, there were emotions, and I got a little teary-eyed, but I really tried to hold it together so I wouldn't make it harder on my son, because, he doesn't need to see his mom collapse into tears and stuff. So I just wanted it to be good for him and not express all my emotions right at that moment. So it was actually quite sweet when we said goodbye. And then my husband and I, we drove, we actually drove down to, I don't even know, it's just north of Hamilton. He has a friend that has a pony farm. It was just awesome. We got to see ponies. They make maple syrup. We got maple syrup. They have pear trees, so we got fresh pears right off the tree. So that was great. And then we drove to St. Catharines, Ontario, and we stayed a night at the Stone Mill Inn, and we had a nice dinner, just the two of us, my husband and I, and we started Operation Empty Nest. And I know it's hard, to become an empty nester, but it's also really good. My husband and I, we have a life together still, and so we're going to try and enjoy it. So we had a nice little night there, and then we got on the road and we drove back to Boston, and here we are. And I'm back in my studio this morning, and so if you've still stuck with me through all of that, it's just. I'm just happy. I'm happy for him. So this is just something about me. If he's happy, I'm happy. So I sent him a text last night just saying, how's orientation going? Didn't hear a peep from him. And that actually made me happy, because if I had heard back from him, then he would have had time to write back to me. So this morning we get a little text from him. Sorry, Mom, I've been so busy having fun. And I'm like, yay, that's exactly what I want. I don't want to be, in his face all the time, because I want him to have a good time. And he sent us a photo, and it's the last day of orientation before classes start. And here's this picture. He's got this purple face on that they did purple for engineering this morning, and so it was really cool. Oh, I have a picture to show you. Let me show you. There's us. This is our son's dorm room, and it's hashtag Go Black Go Gold. He's at the University of Waterloo in Canada. And there we are. That's the morning we said goodbye to him. And he has a great little dorm room. He scored a single room, lucky guy. And someone asked me if that was a good thing, because I know they tend to do doubles for first year students. And yeah, I get the reason for that, so that they'll have someone. Nicholas is an only child though, and I think I know his personality fairly well. I think he's going to be much happier in a single room. Like, that's what he asked for too. So he's, I think, totally happy with his little with his single room. We got him a doorstop so the door can stay open when he wants, and then when he needs some time to just work on his schoolwork, he can close the door. So he has options. I think it will work well for him. Okay. Today is Casing Tuesday, and I have totally neglected that fact, but it's the day when we take a card out of the catalog and we give it a makeover. Let me show you today's sample. This is today's sample. I really like this card. It is a beautiful card. I love that stamp set, but that is not my card. That is the original card, and I like all the different layers on there and that burlap ribbon coming down the center. I think it's a great card. So I did a little bit different, but I'll show you that in a second. Here is the sketch. We also include a sketch for our Casing Tuesday challenges. So if you want to see all of that, you can either go to my blog, and that link should be in the description of this video, or you can go to our Casing Tuesday Facebook page, and I hope you will go there and join us in casing a card and giving it a makeover, because I think we can all learn a little bit from casing a card and giving it, changing some things out. I think a lot of us do that already, but the neat thing about this is that we have a lot of people doing it at the same time. So one card, you'll probably be able to see at least 10 different versions of the card by the end of the week. See it done with different stamp sets, different styles, and so that is the cool thing. And it's nice to be able to share with other people. So I hope you will join our Facebook group and then be able to share with us at some point. And please feel free to jump in, even if you're a beginner. It's not, we're very kind over there. We're not going to judge your card. Sometimes I have an easier time with the card, and sometimes it's harder. So it's not always easy for me too with any particular card. All right, I am going to turn my camera around. Not my camera around. I'm going to choose a new camera. Here we are, and here's my card. Now, I use this stamp set called Silhouette Scenes. Let me move my camera so I can see what you're seeing. This is my card right here, and I stamped this silhouette right here. This is very symbolic of our journey to become empty nesters, kind of reminiscent of my husband and I, and the greeting says, together is the perfect place to be. And that is really true. I want to try and find the joy in each stage of life. I don't want to spend too long being sad. I want to try and find the happy things. Of course, you have to feel emotions. That's true. But I'm going to try and choose happy emotions if I can. So that's why I chose the yellow on this card, because yellow is a bright, happy color. And I even framed the silhouette in yellow, and I'll show you that in a moment. This is the stamp set Silhouette Scenes, and if you saw my blog last week, I did another card. I didn't do a video on it, but I used this stamp right here, and I made a card for our son that we gave to him on the last day before we took off, so he would have a card to read later on. So I used it making this little airplane, the boy in the airplane, and I used the greeting last week, go confidently in the direction of your dreams. So if you want to check that out, it's kind of funny or interesting that last week I did a different stamp with Silhouette Scenes, and now this week I'm doing it the one with a couple. So I don't know, it's kind of come full circle. All right, let me show you how I made this card. So probably the most important thing in this card is the stamping. So let's do that. So I've got a big piece here of Whisper White, and I've got my Night of Navy ink pad. I did try this with Blueberry Bushel since I had Blueberry Bushel in the background here, but I decided to go just a little bit darker than Blueberry Bushel. I can show you what the Blueberry Bushel looks like. See, the Blueberry Bushel looks like that, and the navy is just a little darker. I don't know. I kept putting it side by side, and I ended up with the navy. I liked it better. So I've got the big stamp here, the Silhouette stamp, and I'm just going to tap my Night of Navy on here and make sure it's pretty inky. My Night of Navy is really inky. So let me just stamp this down here. And you want to hold this for a few seconds just to let the ink transfer to the cardstock, especially with these big, bold silhouette stamps. You want to just make sure you don't want to wobble it, but if you can just give a little pressure and just give a little wiggle, it's going to help that ink transfer to the paper. And there is the stamped image, and I think it really did a nice job. Our new, well, they're not that new anymore, but our firm foam pads are really nice for that, because when we had our linen pads, you had to work a lot harder to get that smooth image. And then I'm also going to stamp this little guy right here, and this is just my greeting stamp. Okay, I think I've done all the stamping. So I'm going to bring my Big Shot in now, and my layering ovals. All right, let me pop this on here, and I'm going to use my largest oval. I'm just trying to see exactly how I want that centered. And then I'm going to use my second smallest oval, and I'm going to place this on a bit of an angle. Normally we don't do this, but I kind of popped it on there crooked the first time. I'm like, ooh, I kind of like that. Let's do that instead of the traditional kind of being straight dead on. So now if I carefully run this through, hopefully nothing will shift. And got my couple, and I've got my little greeting. And that was all the die cutting I needed to do. Let me pop that away. And so I really liked this image, but I felt it was a little stark, just like that. So I took my Pineapple Punch Stampin' Blend. This is the light. And I'm using the brush tip, and I'm just coming around and highlighting the outside of my silhouette. And I thought, yeah, that just kind of makes it pop just a little bit. Just always trying to find little details to kind of make things look cooler. And I think it works. And it doesn't take too long. There. So that just adds just a little bit of a pop to this stamp. So let me show you how I did the rest. So I've got this crumpled piece right here. Now, crumpling a piece of paper, you can do it with it just being dry, but it's a lot easier if you crumple a piece of paper when it's wet. So I have my little Stampin' Spritzer here, and I'm not going to spritz on camera, but I'm going to spritz off camera into my garbage can about 4 or 5 times. Maybe a couple on the, all right. It's a little drippy. I don't want it to drip onto my thing. So I'm just, let me move this aside for a second so I don't drip. So I spritzed it, and then I just kind of moved the water onto the outside of the paper. And now I'm going to crinkle it. Crinkle it, crinkle it, crinkle it. I'm going to open it up. Oh, this piece, by the way, just in case I didn't mention it, this piece is Pineapple Punch, and the measurements are 2 inches by 4 3/8 inches to start off. And then I'm just going to crinkle it and open it up a few times until I get the look that I want. And then what you want to do is smooth this out as much as possible. And then you're going to set this aside somewhere to air dry. You could also use your heat tool to help it dry. And when it's done, you have a piece that is like this that I've already dried in advance. And then the other pieces for the card we're going to need a crumb cake card base. So this is just a piece of crumb cake cardstock that is cut in half to 11 inches by 4 1/4 inches. And then I've scored in half at the 5.5 inch mark. I've also taken a piece of 2018-2020 in color designer series paper, and this one measures 2 inches by 5.5 inches. And then I've taken a piece of burlap ribbon, and I don't even know how long this piece is. Let me check for you. This piece is, it's about 5 inches, roughly 5 inches. So I'm going to take a piece of tear and tape, and I'm going to put it about 1/2 inch from the top on the long side of this blueberry piece. I'm going to run it down to about 1/2 inch from the bottom. And this, I'm going to use that for my burlap ribbon because it's not going to stick on there very well if I use Tombow. It needs an adhesive that isn't like a glue adhesive. So I'm just going to add this on here so it just overhangs just a little bit, and it's pretty much centered from top to bottom. So like that. So you can see there's just a little bit of overhang here, like that. And then I'm going to take this piece, and I'll take my Tombow, and I'm going to just put some Tombow on the back of this piece. And make sure that it opens this way. I'm going to put this about 1/2 inch from the side and centered from top to bottom. I'm putting this one on first because it's going to tuck under this blueberry bushel piece. Okay, and then I'll take this and add some Tombow on this. This piece I'm using a very light hand with my Tombow because I don't want it to crinkle. And then I'm going to leave just a little bit showing, the crumb cake showing on the side, and then just come down like that. All right, and then I've got my 2 ovals here, and I'm going to grab some dimensionals. And first of all, I'm going to glue these 2 pieces together. So I'll just put a little bit of Tombow up in that top corner. and just make sure that everything looks level and horizontal. And then I'm going to flip this over to the back and put some dimensionals in a few areas. Oh, I know I have one more. There we go. And then I'll remove the backings off of here. And then I just kind of need to place this, find a place for it on here. Don't want that off just a little bit. All right, and there is the card. And I know I used like kind of bright colors on this, but I wanted bright colors because I want this to be a happy card. I always feel like bright colors equals a happy card. So there is my Operation Empty Nest card. And I know I have a few friends that have we're going through empty nest syndrome, or we're sending at least one of our kids off to college this year for the first time. So I hope that will cheer some people up if they're going through the same thing as me. All right, I'm gonna go back and here I am. I'm gonna go back and read some of the comments, and let me know if you have any questions while I'm still here. Yeah, I'm so sorry about the sound problem earlier. No, there's always fun with technical difficulties in Facebook Live land, and I just, that's par for the course. You have to get into the swing of things, and if you don't try and do all of these things, then you'll be left behind in the Stone Ages, right? So yeah, sometimes we make mistakes, and I'm sorry. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great week. The holiday catalog starts tomorrow. It is fabulous. Tomorrow you can click on the Stampin' Up store and the products will be already loaded in there. If you don't already have a holiday catalog and you would like one, let me know. Also, the holiday catalog PDF will be available tomorrow to click on, so you can also just view it online. We can reduce our paper waste if we do that, so that's also very cool. So I hope you guys have a great week, and I have a new tutorial coming out, a new Hershey's tutorial coming out, so that's kind of exciting. That should be posted later this week. So I hope you will check that out. That one will be on my blog. It will not be a video. All right, guys, have a great week, and I will see you next week, next Tuesday. Bye-bye.